So, everyone, welcome to Super Jam Podcast. I'm really excited today because we've got Champion Trees in with us today.
Well, like a daughter out there sunning itself on a rock. She's got her arms outstretched like a Pack-a-Day smoker, starting and trying to stop. I get taken in like a martyr out there dying for some kind of cause. She's got her arms outstretched so wide.
We've got Lex and Francis from the band joining us. They've got a show coming up on the 10th of June at the Old Church in Stoke, Newington with Real Sounds. And this is part of an ongoing series where Real Sounds, the gig promoter, are linking us up with awesome artists and bands who are doing gigs for them, so we can find out a bit about them and you can find out a bit about them before the show itself as well. So Lex and Francis, how are you guys doing today? You all right?
Very well, thank you. Yes, thanks for having us today.
Oh, yeah, great. Great to have you guys here. It's awesome. And I've also got Tyler helping me from Super Jam as well. How you doing, Tyler?
Hello, I'm doing okay. Thank you very much.
Great stuff. And we had a lot of fun listening to the band's music.
Definitely. There was a few that I've added to my playlist already.
That's cool.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's really good. It's like Tyler, me and Tyler went into our listening session almost blind. Like I knew we had it. I was like, I'm going to wait till that listening session to just listen together for the first time. And then I was like, oh my God, with this sort of little bit of anti-folk, folky vibe, I was like, this is right up Tyler's street. I'm so glad he's on board with this one. So yeah, we were both big fans of it. Loved it. Amazing. So guys, what I thought might be fun to chat about first is to have a little bit rewind the story, and I want to shout out Alfie, who helped prepare some of these questions as well. And Alfie was wondering, because we read that you guys met in Cape Town, and we were wondering if you could tell us a bit of the story of how you met, and also maybe a little bit of what it was like studying and living there as well.
Yeah, sure. So Francis and I met at a very young age, so we're actually cousins. So we go back a long way. We sort of grew up at different parts of South Africa. So we'd sort of meet up on the family annual sort of summer holiday when our family got together. And yeah, it was only really university, when we got to University of Cape Town, that we were in the same city for sort of an extended amount of time. And that's when we thought we'd start the band. Always been something we really wanted to do. Was lucky enough to meet Troy Nyland, the original guitarist of Champion Trees, who played on the Now 3000 album, as well as Langa Dubazana, who was also around in Cape Town at the time, also studying music at the University of Cape Town. And yeah, so the four of us that kicked it off.
Yeah. I remember it was a nice thing to do there. There's a really nice music scene, lots of kind of different stuff going on, but it was cool. Yeah.
That's really cool. And you guys, are you based in the UK now, or are you touring around or traveling around? What's the situation now for you guys?
Yeah, it's a bit, well, that's kind of, I suppose, was a slightly strange thing of how we made this last album, A Duck's Quarter Off My Back, because everyone kind of lives a bit all over the show now, because we're a bit older and, everyone's kind of got on with whatever they're doing and stuff. So Langa, the drummer, was still living in Cape Town at that point, and so he just recorded the drums remotely. Three of us were living in London. And we just sort of, it became a much looser thing after we left Cape Town, I suppose, or after some of us did anyway, because then it ended up being this everyone all over the place kind of thing.
And it was in London that we joined forces with the new members of the band. So yeah, James on the violin and keyboards, who's actually another cousin of ours. So the three cousins in the band, and but he grew up in England. So yeah, it was only when we moved here that we could start working with them on that. And then Michelle, we met through mutual friends, the clarinet player, and Mike, who's a childhood friend of Francis's, also from South Africa, but we all joined the band to work on this previous album we just made.
Yeah, the album was great. Like that was one thing that Alfie was going to ask about actually. And I just want to apologize to Tyler because I think I totally stole his opening question. I was getting too excited.
No.
But again, that was a Tyler one. My apologies. I'm not paying attention to the color coded notes. But in regards to the album you just mentioned, like one thing that Alfie was going to ask is how reversing and kind of changing the order, that famous saying, water off a duck's back into like a duck's water off my back. You thought it was a great title for an album, and we were wondering what made you think of that.
Yeah, that's just like our grandfather always used to say that just as like a stupid joke, really. And then we didn't have a title for ages, and then we had one, but then that became another song that wasn't going to be on the album, like a song with the same title, and so we scrapped that. And then I thought of that, and then I also simultaneously, when I realized there would be duck stuff, thought of an artist who I've been a fan of for a long time in Cape Town called J. Gajar, and their work has lots of sort of duck motifs and that kind of thing. And so I thought it would be a great thing to ask J. Shell to do the cover art and everything. And so it all just sort of, and I also thought it's like a very familiar thing, but then you sort of turn it around slightly and it becomes this slightly more interesting, like you don't quite know what it means kind of thing. But it's also a nice phrase and it seemed to suit the songs. And
that's really cool. And it's cool how it goes back to your grandfather, and it's almost like keeping it in the family again as well, which is like a nice kind of tribute and reference. That's cool. That. And we were listening to one of the songs off the album called "I Wear a Shirt That Says Australia," and we're going to find out where the inspiration's from it. Tyler's going to ask for that in a minute, but I was wondering about the vocal on that one. It sounds really like close, kind of intimate. It's almost like having a conversation in a pub or a cafe with like a friend, and you're like getting into the deep stuff. And we were wondering, is that like a deliberate artistic choice? And then also technically when you were recording it, how did you guys achieve that vocal sound?
I think it was actually more like kind of not unintentional, but it was just we'd never really self-recorded to the extent that we did for this album. We just sort of bought like a little bit of pretty basic gear and like did most of it in a house that three of us were living in. And we like, that was actually a thing throughout the making of the album, was like, it was only towards the end that, because I was usually tracking the vocals myself, like, just realizing like the gain settings, like, oh, it worked better on those songs. What was different to what I was doing? And then I realized like the gain was turned up or something. And then, then started to standardize it a bit more towards the end of tracking for the album. But that vocal take, I liked it, but it was, from a technical perspective, at least, it was kind of just a chance thing that it came out that way. Really, I think I also probably recorded it a bit late in the evening, and there are people living above and stuff, and not wanting to.
Yeah, well, it added something special to it. I think so. Anyway, definitely added something special to it, and also like, wow, like I don't know about you, Tyler. I would not have guessed this whole album was like self and home produced. Pretty much, it sounds amazing. You guys have knocked out the park with the production and record. Well done, honestly, because that's
thanks. Yeah. I think a big part of that is we worked with Andre Howe, who's a Cape Town-based mixing and mastering engineer, who got it to where it is really. I mean, very talented guy, and yeah. Like we basically it didn't sound nearly as good pre-mix or whatever, but we just we figured out enough how to just track stuff, I guess.
Definitely made it work. It sounds lovely.
Yeah, it really does. That's maybe good advice as well for like kind of, Super Jam in the college. We've got loads of musicians who are writing their own stuff, recording. It's kind of cool to hear like that hybrid method of like, or maybe you might not have to track in a studio, but then handing it over to like a sort of professional mixing engineer is a good like hybrid way of doing it to still get a great sound. Yeah, that's really cool because a lot of artists, booking studio time is quite difficult to do as well and quite expensive. So that's really cool to
Yeah,
take that approach, and yeah, it worked really well. And in
for
regards to
sure.
that, yeah, and then in regards to that track, I wear a shirt that says Australia. And anyone listening to the podcast, if you've not heard it yet, definitely check it out when you're finished. But Tyler, you were going to ask a little bit about this one, weren't you?
So yeah, the song I wear a shirt that says Australia. Do you have like a song or band that inspired the track, and like what is the story behind it?
I think like less a specific like song or band. I suppose like usually I usually write like the underlying songs and then we all like arrange them together and work on them together. But usually it's like I'll just sort of stumble on a lyric idea or something that seems interesting or something, and then I just kind of ramble on until it becomes something or doesn't become something, I guess. And this was very much like an example of that. But I think obviously there's a reference to the microphones, the band, and the song lyric, but it's not. I wouldn't say that just happened to be the case. There's no like direct link between that song and that band. But I suppose the title lyric or whatever, my girlfriend had this like Australia tourist shirt, and I just thought about how it was funny that those things are like reverse indicators of like how you're not actually from the place that it says on the shirt usually. And then yeah, but that was just something I'd thought about a week or so before, and then the first few lyrics of the song came and I rambled and then plugged in that thing and it worked. And then, yeah, but, so yeah, I hope that answered, but I'm not sure if it's.
Yeah, it's so true as well. Like, for example, it's pretty rare when I'm back at home in Scotland, I'd be kicking about with like Scotland written on my t-shirt.
Yeah.
But the souvenirs you get from other countries, you always like hold dear to as well. It's like totally cool observation. I like that, man.
Yeah, I think also like if it's South African, like I suppose especially here, like I often get asked if I'm Australian, and I remember Mike, our sax player, had said also around that time that he'd been confused for one like 3 times in 1 week or something. So that was also like another aspect of the song in a way, or at least that line. But yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. That's cool. Wow, brilliant. Well, we've got loads of stuff to cover, so we'll maybe move on a little bit to chat about the album a little bit in general. And Alfie was wondering, because we were reading that and you mentioned it a bit as well, about there's an expanded lineup and instrumentation on this album, vis the previous album, which we'll also talk a little bit about later. But we were wondering, how did that come about with the expanded lineup and instrumentation, and maybe what were your motivators to do that as well?
Yeah, I guess when we first moved over to London, we just really wanted to join forces with, James and Mike first initially, and then Michelle came. We met her at a slightly later stage, and we kind of just played to the strengths of what they bring as musicians. Like James, he's very good at like quite a wide range of instruments, and he's got, what's the word? Like he can make the synth sound very versatile across different types of sounds and genres and everything. And he's a great violin player too. So we sort of had that to work with. So had these initial songs that Francis came up with, like the underlying song, and then thought like, what do we have in our arsenal to serve the song and make it what it is. And then Mike, he's a very accomplished jazz saxophonist. So again, just thought, where can we add some saxophone? And Michelle, she's basically a professional clarinet player, classically trained, and so that's basically what we had at our disposal, and we sort of just trying to make it work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great to add that instrumentation. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say like it's almost like mostly like it's like a social thing almost. So like they were just like our friends, and like they wanted to get involved and they could add some stuff, and so it was quite sort of a laid back thing of just trying stuff.
That's cool. The good takeaway as well for anyone listening to it is making music. Just tap into your friend circle and get people involved. And yeah, I think it's a great thing because it comes through. I think in the emotions and the records and that, like you can get a feeling from it and when the way it's made. So when it's a bunch of friends making a record, it really definitely has a feel to it. So, great stuff. So yeah, I think anyone listening, that's going to be a great sort of thing to take away from that as well. And Tyler, you want to ask the next question, kind of about genres and stuff? Is that right? Yeah.
So with many artists, not every artist's like favorite genre or something is the like same as what they actually like. I was wondering if you guys are fans of different genres than what you're making now, or any bands that you like.
Yeah, for sure. I think like I'm often there's like an aspect of something in like so many genres that I like, or that's like not, so like I don't like examples that I'm listening to a lot at the moment would probably be like Knocked Loose, the most recent Knocked Loose album, and the most recent Jim Legacy mixtape. I would say those are two, and then like lots of jazz stuff, this kind of thing. But
quite a wide variety.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
There's quite a wide range of genres that we listen to across the band. Yeah, no, I think we have a nice Venn diagram in the middle where we come together, and when we, I think it adds some.
What do you think the genre that you listen to or really enjoy, but is most different to the music you make?
I guess like speaking personally, kind of like noisy shoegaze can be. I listen to that fairly often. Not even necessarily shoegaze, but like I'm a big fan of Weather Day, for example, like early car seat headrest, which I guess sound, but just I guess maybe a little bit harsher on the ears than what we make as a band. So just one example.
That's cool. Tyler, what about you? Because Tyler makes music and a whole bunch of different stuff. What do you think about the genre that you listen to that's most different from what you're making at the moment?
I mean, to be honest, I listen to a lot of stuff. It's all over the spectrum of it. I think everything is different from everything. I listen to heavy metal, jazz, all that, and there's always like even if I only like a little bit from each genre, there's always like a middle point of where I can find that has a bit of that and that has a bit of that, and it's always lovely to find like mixed genres. Like recently discovered metal jazz,
really?
Which is actually cooler than I thought it would be.
Cool, actually. I seen a band a while ago called Acoustic Ladyland who were like punk jazz. I seen them live, and that was cool. So I love that blend as well.
Yeah, I think usually there's like an underlying attitude or like element to things that is kind of like where genre is kind of irrelevant or something. Like there's definitely something that's constant across most of the things that I like. I don't really know what it is, but maybe it's just that I like it. But it's genre almost becomes like a bit irrelevant.
I think music becoming a bit less genre focused and a bit less tribal over the last 5 decades has maybe been a good thing in quite a lot of ways. It's kind of cool. I guess people have had more access to all different kinds of music, and you can almost see that reflected in new music being made.
Yeah, sure.
I think it's a cool thing.
Yeah,
awesome.
And just to say, like, we've been, since our recent album got some listeners, and sort of seeing this, I guess some discourse around it. I think we've been labeled as like chamber folk, which is not actually a genre I was really aware existed, like before we put it out there, and then I looked into it. It actually does describe it quite well. So yeah, that was interesting.
That's cool. And yeah, and there is something I've heard artists sometimes in like magazine interviews or radio interviews where they get asked that, what genre would you say? And quite often they flip it and be like, well, that's up for the music journalist to decide. We just
I know what you mean.
yeah. And then also I've seen some bands have a lot of fun with it where they just start making up like silly or fun names for it. Like there was a band from Scotland who described themselves as Haribo Thrash, which was quite funny. So yeah, you could maybe have fun with it as well. Cool. Well, one of the songs we really enjoyed listening to was "I'd Get My Ass Kicked for You," which is an amazing title, a great song as well. And Alfie was wondering, when with that one, what are you kind of hoping the listeners to like feel emotionally where they hear songs like that one?
I don't really know, to be honest. I think I just sort of got this sort of general lyric idea and then just followed it to the end of itself in a way. We wanted this. We like originally thought it would be like a bit more of a banger than it ended up being, and so like wanted it to be like initially, like before we'd even recorded that album, thought it would be a single, and then it ended up not really being what. But yeah.
Glad you like
non-answer. But yeah.
Glad you like it. It's not a song we get asked about, very often. So, I guess at the time, or now we're not. I guess we're not we don't fancy any of us as being like the toughest people out there, So, just thought it'd be just to use our imagination to.
Yeah,
it's a bit of a love story, I suppose.
Yeah, I like that about it too. And Tyler's got a bit of a follow-up question on this one.
So generally on the Now 3000 album, a lot of the names are very unique but meaningful. How do you come up with like the names for them? Are they just from the lyrics that you create, or is it like you come up with the title first and then create the lyrics for it?
Almost always like the lyric like just suggests a name, I guess. Yeah, like something that works for the lyric. Yeah, I was sorry, I just realized, I think a bit of a lag in response to the previous question, but I was listening to like a lot of pulp at the time, and I think you can like the lyric even is quite like derivative of like a sort of Jarvis Cocker type thing. I think like the sort of like nightlife thing or that kind of thing, but yeah. But before I get my answer for you, but in terms of titles, yeah, just something that works. And sometimes someone else, like I'll say like this is the title, and then someone would be like no, it should be that other line should be the title, and then we go with that. Or yeah. So.
Cool. Do you have quite fun coming up with the titles for it? Because some of them are really kind of almost eye-popping. Like you totally know that. Like it's that one especially. You notice it. So yeah. Do you guys have fun with it, or is it just different for every song?
I suppose yeah. I mean, mainly just fun with like the lyrics and stuff, and then like it will usually like it will usually just be what is in the lyrics or something that sort of sums it up or. Yeah, for sure. I mean, like playing around with words is like the main thing for me anyway.
Nice. So Tyler, you were going to ask about the similar feel to a band that you quite enjoy. Yeah.
Yeah. So one of my favorite bands personally, who is an anti-folk band, is called Crowd. Bit of a weird name, I know. But
no, sure. I've heard of them. I checked them out a few years ago.
Yeah, they're really nice. I've seen them live once. It was really good. Do you have any relation to the anti-folk genre? Because it's quite similar.
I mean, you loved like AJJ.
Yeah, I had a big AJJ phase and Moldy Peaches. Definitely, I think with you also.
Yeah, so Jeffrey Lewis and. Yeah, but that like, and then more than that, like I suppose like Silver Jews, David Berman, like people who are kind of in that lineage, I guess, in a way. But yeah, for sure, like yeah, anything like lyric focused is often been like something.
Yeah, because I can see a lot of inspiration from that in the "None with a Gun" song. That was a very nice song. That is definitely one of my top favorites from you.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, that was like the first, probably the first song the first song I'd ever written that I felt was something approaching something that I wanted to do, I think. And that was like the first of the now 3,000 songs to be written. And that was like when I was, 19 or something.
We were super excited about the song. Yeah.
So yeah, that Machine Gun None track is amazing. I know Tyler, it would be worth asking that question about it now, since we're on the topic. That was get a bit more into that track.
So is your music more like personal based, or is it based on religion or political beliefs, or is it like because a lot of folk music is I forgot what it's called.
The mythology you mentioned the other day?
It's more like telling about mythology and stuff like that. Is your music more personally based, or?
I think like definitely our lives come into it quite a bit, I suppose, or at least lyrically, like, yeah, but it's usually just quite instinctive and following and having some initial idea and then like kind of pursuing it and seeing what, like playing around with it. And often it will be stuff that we've joked about or something that I'll like talk about in the lyric or like, so definitely our lives come into it quite a bit. I don't know that it's ever very intentionally about this or about that. It usually just kind of happens, and then we see, oh, like this is what we were thinking about, or this is what. Yeah, it's like, it's a bit like that. Yeah, sorry if that was a bit of an incoherence.
No, it makes sense because like Tyler makes music, I make music too, and I have found that myself as well. It's often more upon reflection you can sort of see a thread of maybe where it came from, but in the moment when you're making it, quite often I find my worst stuff is when I deliberately try and write about something. But when you just let it flow, or like you said, a friend says something, or you see something online, or someone just sparks this idea, and then you get into the songwriting mode from that. Usually they're better than the deliberate ones. Although, there's a lot of great people out there who do like kind of fictionalized songs, and some people can do that right into what you call it, a prompt, but some people can. It just depends. But I quite like the spontaneous vibe.
And they can be like, you can intend to do something and then it can still be spontaneous and stuff also. Like there's a weird sort of balance between the two things in a way. They can feed into each other. Like you can have you could do like a concept album and then the different songs start inspiring all the songs and then
So on the topic of songwriting, guys, I was wanting to ask about your track called Richard 2. And you mentioned in the lyrics, and I love this line, something about trying to write the perfect sentence. So I was going to ask you, how is that quest going since then?
Oh, good question.
Yeah, that'll be a fun question to ask. Hard one to answer, sorry, but yeah.
That one, it's kind of like a lyric that just ties it back to the first, because there was the other Richard song. And it's not going particularly well.
The quest, I think it's going to be a lifelong quest.
In it for the long game, for sure. That's great. And Tyler was going to ask a bit about the Richard 2 track and sort of the sort of general feel of it, weren't you?
Yeah. So on your first track that we were talking about, the Shirt Australia one, it's very calm, and you use brushes on the drums and all that. But then on Richard 2, it was much a heavier, deeper feeling with more electric instruments. What made you decide on that?
I think we just liked how the album would sound if you listen to it the whole way through. I think we've always been a fan of like sort of calmer first songs into like a more upbeat second song. I think it's just has always worked well for us. So they seemed like obvious choices to go 1 and 2. Yeah, and I think instrumentation wise, it just what served the underlying song better. You know, like Australia, a bit slower, a bit more, a bit calmer, a bit more restrained on the drums with brushes, for example. But then, yeah, Richard 2 was the one song that we thought, you know, let's give this a bit more energy, and yeah,
it was actually quite hard to like get that into a form that like suited all the rest of the songs in the album, because like in earlier versions of it were a bit too abrasive, like relative to everything else. So that was the song we took the longest with, like trying to figure out an arrangement that had like the energy in it and stuff, but then also was like nice and rounded off and not too like in your face, or like something that could work in the context of an otherwise pretty restrained album, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. And Alfie, who's helping us prepare, is really interested in like studio stuff and recording or home recording and stuff like that as well. And we touched upon a little bit of the recording process at the start of our chat, and also we got your show coming up, so we thought a good question would be to ask you, how does the live show differentiate from the studio recording? And for the live show, what equipment are you bringing with you to use on stage? Because a lot of our listeners to this will be musicians themselves, so they love nerding out on little details of what other musicians use and stuff, so don't be afraid to go into it. But yeah, how do you think the live show changes from the studio recording, and what kind of equipment do you guys like to bring when you do a show?
I'd say the live show is a little. What can I say? Firstly, we don't play with, at least for now, we haven't actually been playing with drums live, purely because Langa, our drummer, is still in Cape Town. Sadly, we'd love to be playing with them, but it's actually worked. We've I think it gives the songs space, and if people are kind enough to, when they're there in the room, to sort of give us to give it space and attention when we're playing, that I think they come through well. Yeah, I think it's beyond the drums. I think it's quite a good representation of this. Yeah, we do a couple of change ups here and there, a few transitions between songs that we have worked on. But we love playing live.
Sweet. And you guys are vocals, guitar, and bass. So, like, do you guys have any favorite? What's your guitars like? Do you have any favorite pedals or amps and stuff like that you use?
Right.
Oh, so yes. On what we bring to the shows, we're actually quite minimal on the gear side. We've never really been too into like the pedals and effects sort of things. It's quite minimal. I literally I have a bass amp personally that I bring with me in case I need one. But no very clean effects. Francis plays acoustic. He's got a pickup on a guitar.
I've got like a Guild guitar. I don't know exactly which model it is. Not the really expensive one, the middle of the range one. But actually, I've been thinking I need to get a tuning pedal before the next one, because I've kind of just been risking it in the past shows, and I think it's probably better to have one.
I think.
And James has quite a nice.
Yeah,
James, because he plays synth and violin, he's got synth and violin. I'm not sure which makes of either of those, but I know that he recently bought a little microphone for the violin that was apparently quite expensive, and it's like. Michelle was very impressed by the kind of microphone it was, but I can't remember what it was called.
DBA?
Yeah, maybe. DB. Yeah. Something like
that. She said DB slow when she heard it. So I think it's A is that,
That's amazing. That's the best music tech pun I've heard in a long time. DB Slay. Next time I'm in a studio and they got DBA mics, I'm going to steal that. Thanks. I'm going to definitely use that like that. That's amazing.
Well, it helped me remember it, Yeah.
Yeah.
And then for recording, we basically just bought like I'd read online about how Sufjan Stevens made Michigan with like these really pretty basic cheap mics, and I looked them up and they were pretty cheap. So then we bought those, and then James had one like Rode mic or something that we used for or was it Rode? No, it was Shure. I think it was Shure that we used for the vocals, and the other mics we used were whichever those ones. I can't remember what they're called, but the ones. You can look up Michigan what he used.
Yeah,
those ones.
Yeah,
and it actually reminded me. I started out when we first moved to London. I was borrowing. It's also our cousin, but James's brother's old bass guitar. He's a very keen bassist, and he was kind enough to lend me his old bass guitar, and I thought it was going pretty well with it. I was enjoying it, but then it was Francis and James kind of convinced me to maybe invest a little bit in a more, I don't know, just for the sake of recording the album, especially, and then
because it wasn't staying in tune in the recordings and stuff. So
exactly, and I think Andre, who mixed and mastered the record, was having a bit of trouble with the bass parts. I think they kept going out of tune.
Yeah.
So yeah, I decided I went for sort of
What is it? A P bass?
Yeah, Fender P bass.
Lovely. Yeah, you're talking to two bassists as well. Tyler plays bass and I play bass as well. So yeah, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. Awesome stuff. Well, Tyler, you play a few different instruments, but both of us kind of started on bass. Yeah, I do a bit of keyboards and synths and stuff too as well. But yeah,
do you both like gear and stuff? Like the
I do a bit because I trained as like a sound engineer at college. Like I went back as a mature student. So, but I totally get that the song and the story and the emotions the most important thing. But I do love nerding out on that stuff as well. So
I'm very much
sure.
Like recording and how people do different stuff, like who's that one band? I'm trying to think now. Oh no!
Like do different tricks in the studio.
I forgot which band it was, but they recorded pretty much like all their guitars through like a really bad bass amp, but it sounded amazing.
Really. Yeah, that kind of thing's fun.
Queen of the Stone Age.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they done it.
That's cool. Yeah, I love that kind of stuff.
I'm very much into that. Yeah,
I like bands when they like have their main track down and then add all these layers in. Like they'll record like an old radio scrolling through it and mic up and just get different textures and stuff in their tracks. So I love all that stuff for sure.
Yeah, unconventional things can work well, and it can add some, I don't know, cool mythology and as the listener. Like for example, I had a massive car seat headrest phase. It's ongoing, to be honest. But he, a big part of what Will Toledo did to record, he recorded vocals in his car, because he was too self-conscious to record them anywhere else, really. And it's cool to imagine that when you're listening.
That is really cool. That's really cool. That reminds me of this like Australian cartoon that's on YouTube, and there was behind the scenes making it, and they just drove out to like the forest and just like doing a fight scene, like just screaming into the mic in the forest because they couldn't do it at home because it annoyed the neighbors too much. So, I just love hearing random stories like that. I didn't know that one about the car seat headrest one. That is really cool.
Are the vocals much inspired by car seat headrest? I see some similarities between it, like the talkie style at some points in it.
Kind of actually, you know better than I'm from Europe, but like I know. Francis and I used to always talk about how much we love how Will Toledo sounds like almost like a ghost, especially on his early stuff, like the original Twin Fantasy record, for example. And I'm not sure.
I'd say that lyric was a little bit, it would have had something to do with that. Yeah.
Maybe that's.
But in terms of delivery, I try not to like think about it too much, I suppose.
Yeah.
But. Because then it's like you get too self-conscious when you're trying to sing, and but I don't know. Yeah, in terms of delivery and stuff, just sort of the phrasing is usually just whatever suits the lyric, I suppose. And then that's kind of just the If any, I think the person I'm most trying to sound like is Bill Callahan. Or if I really could do that, that would be who I would choose. But I don't.
That's cool.
My voice hasn't dropped enough.
I feel like every singer's got that one or two singers. They just like, oh, if I sounded like that, don't they? Yeah. For me, because I make like disco punk stuff, so it's like LCD Sound System or like David Heads or like even Jarvis, a little bit who you mentioned, that kind of thing. Yeah. Tyler, have you got anyone like that that's like your absolute peak people for singing?
Definitely, cry. I'm more into the whiny sounding people. I don't like. I'm not a big fan of the people with like really nice voices. I wanna hear whiny. I wanna hear properly mixed. Like it sounds raw and nice.
Yeah, it's cool when you know the words that describe it. For me, it's like yelpy and like talky.
There's a nice David Berman from Silver Jews quote. All my favorite singers couldn't sing.
Love that. Yeah, totally. It's so cool, and it's good for people who want to be artists but feel like, I don't have the perfect voice. Like, it doesn't matter that much, like, as long as you're expressing yourself and you can find a way to make it work in music. That's the most important thing with original stuff anyway, for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing we're going to talk about, if that's cool, was if it's okay with you guys to chat about, we were interested a little bit between the albums. There was a little bit of a break, so Tyler was going to ask about that and just get a little bit of insight into that, if it was something you guys needed or Yeah,
of course. So between two of your albums, there was like a 3-year break between them before you released a single. I was wondering if there was a creative block or there was time off or working on another project. Is that something you can tell us about?
Yeah, sure. It was like things kind of kept going, but people sort of moved, and then like Lex, kind of as soon as we finished up at uni, his family was already living in England and sort of moved over. And then I hung around in Cape Town for sort of half a year and then came here. And so it was more just like sort of general life things happening that made working on music a bit difficult. And then also like it took a while to sort of get writing again. But then by the time that we eventually kind of got our act together to recording A Duck's Water Off My Back, we had like so much backlog of material from those years. So we were sort of done with what's going to be the next album, at least like the underlying songs were done by the time we even like kind of started with A Duck's Water Off My Back. So stuff was still kind of happening, but we just weren't very good at like getting our act together enough to do it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, there were also just other life admin things, like, boring things like having to find a house to live in and a job to fund that house that you're living in, like that. It took time to get moving countries. It take a while to feel settled enough to get going on this stuff.
And I think it's important to like share that as well. And it's great. Thanks for sharing that, guys. Because these days, like gurus online and stuff, and the content machine, and people are like, you need to be constantly doing this up. But we're all human at the end of the day. We all need to, sometimes move countries, sometimes do different things, and like music's important. Yeah. But I just think it's good to put out that message that it's okay to like take a break when you need to as well. And usually you'll generate better art. Tyler, you want to follow up on that too?
So it's less of with the album, but more of your band. Champion Trees is like a group of people in South Africa protecting trees. Why did you, or I think it is at least from what I've read, why did you pick on the name Champion Trees for your band?
Well, it's like basically, it's like it's almost like a National Trust type equivalent, classification system, I guess, where they're like, if a tree is considered significant or something, they protect it, like they protect buildings that are like that. but that it's a thing I think also in some other countries too. But I just read there was this park like nearby that had a few of them, and I thought the phrase sounded nice and kind of neutral, and it was just something I'd earmarked as a name for something if ever there was something. And then we started being in a band, and it was kind of one of the first names we sort of chatted about, and it just sort of ended up being the name. And yeah, it's funny, it ends up being something you don't really think about that much, but I suppose but,
yeah. And I think a good takeaway from that is like people to like log your ideas, keep them safe, because like you said, there was a bit of time between actually getting that idea and then using it as the band name. But yeah, I'm always telling people, don't delete stuff, back up stuff. You're going to want an archive to draw upon.
And the fact that band names don't need to be some really big thing about like some hidden meaning or something. It could just be a park with some trees that are protected.
Yeah, something you liked. Yeah, 100%. Well, we're getting to near the end of this podcast. I want to say thanks so much for doing it, guys. We really appreciate it as well. I think we've talked about the gig, we've talked about the recordings, and hopefully everyone's going to really enjoy the gig. But maybe over the next sort of 12 months or so, is there anything that you guys are working on that people should be looking forward to, or what are your hopes and ambitions for the next sort of 12 months or so?
Well, I guess in the near term, we haven't officially announced it yet, but yeah, we will be doing soon. We got a UK tour in August, so going up to Scotland,
to sunny Scotland,
and then sunny Scotland, yes. So yeah, like Edinburgh, Glasgow, then the northern cities like Nashville, Leeds, York, down via Shrewsbury, Cardiff, Brighton, finishing off in London. So that's going to be amazing. Yeah, we're really excited for that. So we've only played one sort of show outside of London since we've moved here, and it'll be amazing to be able to do that. And then also just going to be working on our next record. So yeah, as Francis mentioned, got quite a backlog of songs, and it's something that we're very excited about. Yeah, we think it's going to be a nice album. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Oh, guys, congratulations on booking the tour. That's so exciting. And we might be, if you don't mind me asking, it's going to be like something that is on the radar or like goal of a lot of our listeners. Like I said, almost everyone listens to this making music. How did that come about, getting the tour booked? Did you go through like a booking agent, or did you DIY book it, or just any advice for someone who has that as a goal themselves?
Yeah, it was like a bit of a combination. Like we'd had some sort of loose conversations with a few people in a few cities about, at some point you should come play here or something. And then we sort of thought it would be a good idea to try get a tour together. And then we got booked by like the Edinburgh Student Society to play a gig there. And then we sort of filled in the gaps between other cities with the other ones that we had spoken to some people. And then our friend Frankie from the band Casper Hauser, he puts on a lot of gigs in London under the name Falling Moon. And he was like amazing with a lot of the booking and stuff, because he knows some people in other cities and stuff. Casper Hauser are also coming for like most of those dates. So it's a kind of a co-tour, which should be fun.
Yeah, but I mean, it's amazing how you just reach out to a venue in a way, and then hope they reply, and then that's how it goes, really. So, and then I guess if you just plan the dates and the routes, to those thing, it's doable. That's
so cool. And I guess sometimes when you don't hear back, don't get too disheartened. Just keep asking, or ask different ones as well.
Exactly.
I guess when a lot of people are, when they're starting out, that fear of rejection can be quite high. But I guess you get used to it, and it's not being rejected. Sometimes it's not a good match. They're not busy enough, or not right now. So yeah, I think the way you guys have like managed to do that's amazing. So I'm buzzing for it. Well, and we're absolutely really excited on your behalf for the show. Just a reminder to our listeners, it's on the 10th of June. Start doors at 7 p.m. It's at the Old Church in Stoke, Newington, in London as well. And we'll put the description in it on the when you're watching this and listening to this on the podcast, it'll be in the description as well. But guys, I want to say, this has been such an insightful chat. I think for me and Tyler, we've loved
Definitely,
it.
yeah.
Also for our listeners, I think there's loads of great takeaways because, like I said, everyone who listens to this pretty much is into making their own music, so that's going to be cool as well. And for those who don't make their own music but love the band, I'm sure they've got some great insights. The fans who'll be listening to this from how you make it and that. So I want to say thanks so much, guys. It's been great, and I hope you have a great show.
Thank you so much. Yeah, hopefully see you guys around.
Cheers. Bye.
Thank you so much. Cheers.
That's great, guys. Well, I'll cut it there on the podcast, but I just wanted to properly just normally say bye and thanks before we do it. But I'll do a little chop there on the actual podcast as the ending. But man, you guys have been great. Thanks so much for joining us. Honestly, that's been really cool. Part of I'm a massive nerd for original music, so this is the kind of I'll watch artist interviews every night and stuff, or not every night. So I just feel lucky to get to do this with you guys and other artists that come in. It's a lot of fun, and you're helping the college so much because we've got a few bases in London, 5 bases total. And there's maybe about 40 or 50 students each base, and this goes out to them, and a lot of people listen to it, and it really, I think getting people like you guys in really helps because it's not just their teachers or the staff chatting to them. It's they're getting to hear about it from actual people who are out there doing it. So yeah, we got a place in Earl's Court in London that's opening in September, and one in Wandsworth. So maybe in the future, if you guys ever want to come down, we do tiny desk style sessions, if you've seen them on YouTube. We're we videographer and sound, and there's we call it shelf sessions. There's a bookcase behind it. If you ever want to do a strip back session, in the future, you're pretty busy now, but maybe one day we can make that happen if you'd be game for it.
Yeah, it would be good. Are you guys in London currently?
So me and Tyler are in Canterbury. That's that's the base I normally work from because I live in Margate in Kent as well, which is a little seaside town. Yeah. But I travel about when needed as well, so I'd be happy to come meet you guys in London if we book it in advance one day as well. It could be cool. So yeah.
Very good to have a folk band. I'm very happy about that.
Nice. Yeah. Thanks for the great questions and stuff.
And thanks for doing this. And guys, I hope you have an amazing show and enjoy the tour as well. Just time wise, I'm going to edit this on Monday morning because I don't work Fridays. So it'll come out on Monday morning as well. So that's a couple of days before the show. And then once it's done, I'll email you the link. So if you want to put the link up on your Instagram or anything, and I'll do my best to get maybe a couple of clips that are vertical to share for Instagram and stuff as well if you wanted. No pressure whatsoever.
We're very relaxed.
Oh, cool. I just thought it might be a nice thing to have, so just a final push of a few bit extra content for promoting the show and stuff. Yeah. Cool. Well, thanks so much, guys.
Thank you so much.
We'll catch you later. Bye.
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 Thank you.